Hi there. These are your levels of organization and homeostasis notes. You will need to probably do a split screen and have your blank copy up while I am giving you a visual of what to be looking at and writing in at the same time. All right, so what is life? Life, I want to start first with talking about things that are biotic, because living things are considered biotic, which means these are things that are alive. So write this in. Or were once living. You see, it has the first three letters of bio, which means we talked about means life. So biotic things, they have to be things that are alive or were once alive. They're considered biotic. Some things that all living do, some actions that all living things do, whether we're talking about fungi, mammals, reptiles, plants, these are the things that all living things are going to do. All living things, they are made of cells. Living things are going to contain DNA. DNA is, if you want to know, is deoxyribonucleic acid, and that's found in our cells that has genetic information. Basically, the instructions of life. In order for a cell to make another cell, it has to have those instructions, and that is where it gets it from. It's from the DNA molecules that are inside the cells. You'll learn more about that later, especially in 9th grade biology. You'll learn a little bit about it in our genetics unit at the end of this 9 weeks. Living things, a living thing is going to uses energy, whether that's coming from sunlight or coming from consuming another organism. Living things will grow and develop. Living things will respond to their surroundings. When we say that, we're talking about they're going to respond to a stimulus. But I'm also going to give you the plural form of stimulus, just so you're not confused. It's stimuli. So they're the same word, but stimulus is talking about one thing that causes an organism to react, and a stimuli would be several things. Next, living things will reproduce. And the last thing is that living things will maintain, here is a new word you're going to hear often this semester, is homeostasis. You might want to practice saying that out loud. Homeostasis. I will get to what that means and all about homeostasis at the end of these notes. We'll come back to that. Okay, homeostasis. Okay, next. All living things are made of cells. This unit is about cells, and like I was telling my classes, is that we only know what cells look like is because the microscope was invented. So you've been working on some microscope refreshers, and these two images are microscopic views of cells, so we could see what they look like up close. These are several different cells grouped together. Cells are, they're so tiny, almost all cells can only be seen with a microscope. This, for instance, these are animal cells. And this is an example of a bunch of plant cells, the green one. There are clues that tell me why I know that's animal cells. There are clues that tell me plant cells. We will get into that, but just real quick, animal cells are going to be rounded, and plant cells will be boxy. You definitely can see the nucleus in these right here, and you see how it's so defined with that green box around it. And plant cells are going to have some green in them because of chlorophyll. And right here, you'll see a lot of images of plant animal cells. showing you all the different parts inside of cells. It's hard to see in these particular images of microscopes. It depends on how good your microscope is, what you can see. Typically with our microscopes, our compound microscopes we can see the cell wall or cell membrane, which is that dark circle around those, and usually a nucleus, and then cytoplasm, which is the inside liquid part. We don't typically be able to see all of these things unless we had more of a high-tech microscope like biologists would be using. Cells are the basic building blocks of all life. So it's the smallest part of life we can get to. Now, cells are so tiny and microscopic, typically they're going to be grouped together. You have single-celled organisms like bacteria. I'll write that down here. An example of a single-celled organism would be bacteria. And it is a living thing, and it does all of those things, even though it's made of one cell, it does all of the things in this list. So it is considered a living organism, but most things are going to be multicellular. And so let's write that in about what cells are going to be. Cells are microscopic, but are typically grouped together to make something bigger for multicellular organisms. So since most things are multicellular, I'm going to show you what the stages are of cells grouping together. Cells grouped together, they're going to make something called tissues. Cells grouped together to make tissue. This is an example of plant tissue, and this is an example of animal tissue. You see just a bunch of cells grouped together. We have muscle tissue, we have epithelial tissue. Then you have tissue, because see, this still doesn't make an organism. You're going to have tissues now grouping together. Tissues are going to group together to make, and here I give you some examples. These are organs. So, for instance, we have the stomach, we have a leaf, and we have lungs, just to show you some examples of organs. But that doesn't make an organism yet, so we're going to go to the next stage. Organs group together to make something called an organ system, such as the digestive system, and you have a plant system with its vascular tubes, its xylem and phloem. You'll learn about those later, coming soon next week, I do believe, or the week after. But in animal systems, such as digestive system, it includes the stomach, and then a plant system with its vascular systems, its tubes with the xylem and phloem. But that still doesn't make a full organism. So organ systems are now going to group together to make an organism. So now we have a full organism where I'm showing you an example of a human and of a whole plant with its all the way from its leaves, its stems, its roots in the soil. This grouping together is known as levels of organization. Levels of organization of life. There's all, it depends on what levels of organization you're talking about, but in this case, we're talking about of living things, so of life. So we go from cells grouping together to make tissues, tissues group together to make organs, organs group together to make organ systems, and organ systems group together to make an organism. And so there's an example of plants, example of animals. from your levels of organization, you start from the smallest unit of life, which is known as the cell, to the biggest unit of life, which is the organism. And that's your levels of organization. Next, we're going to move on to homeostasis. And homeostasis is that big word we talked about at the beginning up here in our list about one of the things that living things, right here, living things will maintain homeostasis. So let's talk about what that word means. You're going to hear it so many times this semester. You're going to be an expert on homeostasis by the end of 7th grade. You'll be able to definitely instruct your 8th grade teachers about homeostasis. Okay, living things must maintain, and the reason I put this here, this picture, is to tell you living things must maintain a balance in order to function properly. They have to keep a balance. Maintaining stable internal conditions. Maintaining stable internal conditions, keeping a balance in the body is called homeostasis. And I want you to spell out that word. I want you to practice it. And I started because this is the definition of homeostasis. Maintaining stable internal conditions, meaning keeping a balance in the body, is called homeostasis. Let's break down the word. It's such a big word. It's in science, it always helps to break it down. So homeo means the same. And stasis means to be stable. So keeping everything stable, everything alike stable. Also, we could also throw in this word. It's a word we saw with succession. Equilibrium of the body. It's another way to say keeping a balance. Equilibrium of the body is homeostasis, keeping a balance. All those words mean the same thing. But when we're talking about structures and functions of the body, when we're talking in any organism, we're talking about homeostasis. For example, cells help to maintain homeostasis by controlling the body's water balance. I just wanted to give you some examples of what's going on as keeping you in homeostasis in your body. So we have to maintain a water balance, our energy, and another example would be hormones, which help control your sleep and hunger and your development. In order for your cells to keep the body in homeostasis or balance, they respond to internal and external stimuli. So remember that was in our list at the beginning, is that living things respond to the surroundings, so they're responding to stimuli inside the body and outside of the body. The body must be regulated to keep in balance. The body must be regulated. Regulated, just a quick definition, is to be kept stable. Keep it in balance. Keep it stable. Keep it regulated. It's controlled. Controlled. I've mentioned that, your cells in your body, it needs to respond to internal and external stimuli. So let's make sure we have that down. Internal means, as you know, inside. External means outside. Stimulus or stimuli, we talked about this I'll put this on here too. A stimulus is singular and stimuli is plural. Causes an organism to react. Stimuli causes an organism to react. So things happening outside of your body you respond to, like right now, you hear my voice, or you see what I'm writing and you're responding by listening and reacting. Maybe you're writing in your own notes, you're listening and getting it into your memory. And then internal, you have things happening inside your body that cause you to react. Maybe you have a headache or a stomach ache right now and it's going to cause you to react. Maybe you're going to drink some water or eat a snack or take a nap later when you can. Okay, so let's do some examples of internal and external stimuli, your body keeping in homeostasis. Examples: if your cells need more water, you will be thirsty and you might feel fatigued, tired. Water helps a multiple of situations going on in your body. You definitely always need your water intake to keep in balance. If your cells need more energy, you will feel hungry and your stomach may growl. It's a sign that your cells need more energy. If your body temperature is not regulated, your body reacts either by sweating or shivering and goosebumps to help you, sweating to help you cool off and shivering to help you keep your warmth. Now let's talk about a plant. If a plant's water balance is not regulated, it will begin to, and this is a word you all need to know, it will begin to wilt, which means begin to droop. It'll look like this, all droopy. That's what we call it, wilting. It looks wilted. You need to know that word wilt. Now, the water balance, I didn't say if it has too little water or too much. It's either way, if a plant has too much water or too little water, it will begin to wilt and on the stage of dying. All right, let's finish up with some examples. So internal means inside, external means outside. Think about inside your body or outside your body. These things are going to cause you to react. So thirst, is that internal or external? Is thirst something that's inside your body or outside? And that would be inside, internal. What about hunger? Is that happening inside your body or outside? And it's inside, so internal. Temperature causes you to react. Is that temperature outside your body or inside? It is outside, so external. Light or darkness, that is outside of your body, so external. Lastly, responding to stimuli keeps the organism in homeostasis and able to function properly. Make sure you have a copy of these notes saved in your ISN, your digital notebook, or if you have a paper notebook, you'll need to be writing these things down to keep. You'll be studying these notes to help you on future assignments and quizzes, assessments. And tomorrow in the folder will be a teacher copy if needed. Thank you.